Guys, what does it mean to be midpoint?
Middle.
Middle, which means
Center.
okay, geometrically, what does the middle mean?
Center.
Center, also the half point, halfway. So how do you find half of something, Austin? Divide it by 2. So if I want to find the half of something, I divide by 2. Okay, so let's try this again. You guys remember doing this? Starting at 7, right? And I'm just going to keep walking down the way, and then eventually get to 15. I started at 7. I got to 15. What's halfway in between?
Not 4, 8. No. 12.
Come on, I got starting at 7. And I end at 15. What's halfway in between?
8, 11. It's 4.
Okay, now Matt, how'd you get that?
To get from 7 to 15, you get at 8. What's happened at 8 is 4. I add 4 to 7, therefore I got 11.
What's another way of representing that? We call it the center, we call it the middle. Casey? The what? Yes, but not really. I know, it's so much fun. It's actually the average. How do we find the average of 2 numbers? Add them up and divide by. Okay. So if I want to figure out the average between this x1 and x2, how many do I have? 2. So guys, all midpoint formula is the average of the x's and the average of the y's. That's it. X1 plus x2 divided by 2. Y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, here's the next point I need to make. Cannot stress this enough. Geometry is a foreign language, right? We talked about that earlier this week, or last week. We said that the hard part of geometry is learning to read the symbols, correct? And the symbols mean something. So here's a quick lesson in mathematics, Taylor. Mathematicians are inherently lazy. Yes. Which means they don't write any more or less than exactly how much they need to write. We don't like fluff. We don't deal with it. If we can symbolize it, we will. So every tiny, minute detail matters in the math world. The square root of 130 is completely different than 130 over 2. If it was 130 over 2, we would have written it as 130 over 2. This is the square root of 130. This actually represents a numeric value, 11.4. It's a number. When you find the distance between 2 points, it is a number. But when I find the midpoint, what is it? What do we call this? Yes, it's the midpoint form, but what does it give us? What does it give me as the output? And the answer is in the form of a?
What those things are called?
Yeah, what are they called?
Coordinates.
Coordinates, yes. Well done, Gavin. 4, -5 is a coordinate. And we know it's a coordinate because it has the parentheses. That is completely different than 4, -5. If I leave that as 4, -5, I take off the parentheses, now what I've created is a list. And it means nothing. The parentheses is what tells us it's a coordinate. Please make sure you have parentheses around your answers. So again, midpoint formula. Add up your x's, divide by 2. Add up your y's, divide by 2. So let's do an example. Example 1.
Okay.
So here we go. Write out the formula. Everybody needs to write out the formula. Do the first line, just like you did for distance, we're going to write it out here. So we have the midpoint equals x1 plus x2 all over 2, y1 plus y2 all over 2. Okay, so there's the formula. All right, Lindsay, what's What's my x1? -4. Zane, what's my x2? Should be -3. Hey guys, notice what I did with that -3. Well, principally, why would I want to do that?
You don't get your times confused.
Yeah, that way I don't lose the negatives. I want to make sure you put parentheses around those. Of course, that's divided by 2. And now let's do the y's. Okay. Dylan, do you have a question?
Oh no, I just okay. On these, are we allowed to have decimal?
Nope. Fractional answer. Alright, so let's keep moving on. Ashley, what's my y1 value? 11 plus. Gavin, give me the y2 value. 4. This is all over. Okay, so what's -4 plus a -3? -7. That's all over 2. 11 plus 4? 15. Can 7 be divided by 2? Leave it alone. Can 15 be divided by 2? Leave it alone. Okay, can we reduce those fractions? Nope. So we leave your answers in reduced improper form. So always leave your answers in reduced improper form. Okay, any questions on that? Casey?
Okay, so we can't divide by 2 and leave it as a, like,
No, we're going to, I know you guys don't believe me, but I'm going to save you a whole lot of headaches later on in the course. We're going to avoid decimals if we can. Okay, the reason why we're trying to avoid the decimals is a lot of times in geometry, we might need to take that -7 halves and do something else with it.
okay.
Alright, so in that sense, looking at the -7 halves, it's a lot easier to multiply by 7 halves than to multiply by 3.5. Okay? Again, we're trying to stretch this, trying to stretch that brain. Okay. Alright, guys, I'm going to stop here on this particular, only because we're running out of time. I want to make sure we are able to do our last objective for today. And that is number 4 and 5. Now, guys, this is where, remember that first or the second day we did the little quiz? And the majority of you guys failed that quiz? Okay, because you didn't read directions?
I didn't finish it, but I figured out.
Okay. Alright, so this is one of those questions where you make sure you actually read the question and interpret what the question is saying. Given endpoint A and midpoint, guys, I cannot stress enough, midpoint M, find B. Alright, so graphically, here's what we have. I have A, I have M, and the question is, what is B? This is what this question is asking you to do. If you can count, you can do this. If you can count, period, you can do these problems. So here's how this works. We know that M is the midpoint, right? Okay, so look, no matter where I'm at, let's say I take 4 steps, and that's to my midpoint. What would I need to do then in order to get to the end point? Take 4 more, right? So whatever I did to get to the midpoint, all I have to do is repeat, and I'll get my B.
So whatever A is, A and B is.
Okay, so whatever A is, that's where you start. You start at A and go to M. So we're at -3, 6. We're going to 1, 2, and I have to go to B. Okay? So all you have to do is repeat. You're going to do this in 2 parts. You're going to repeat the X, repeat the Y. So here's how this works. What did you do to go from -3 to 1? What did we do? Added 4. So guess what you're going to do again? Add another 4. So what's 1 plus 4? Ching. Okay, you guys ready? What'd you do to go from 6 to 2? So what are we gonna do again? What does that give us? And there we go. Ta-da! There's your coordinate for B. It's not difficult. If you can count, we can do this. Okay? Alright. Okay, that's it.